And today we're reviewing probably one of the most iconic watches in the watch world, and probably one of the ones which has been out the longest length of time. Obviously it's had various model revisions, which is the Rolex 16610 Submariner. The first Submariners were introduced in the 1950s in non-date form. You've probably seen them in various films. James Bond very famously wore one in one of the early Bond films. If you have a look at the watch, this is the most recent revision of the model. It's on a V serial. V serial watches have had one or two model revisions. It's got some very clever anti-counterfeit features to the watch. If you have a look on the watch, it's going to be hard for me to show you on the video, but actually around the inner bezel ring of this watch, Rolex have now taken to engraving all around the bezel. You've got the Rolex motif repeated. You've also got the watch case reference number, which is like the chassis number on a car. It's absolutely unique to the watch. These latest Rolex Submariners, they don't have little lug holes. If you have a look on the case, you'll see the latest models, they've actually filled in the lug holes. The bracelet's pretty much unchanged since the Rolex Submariner's inception. I think the only revisions current to this model, which were introduced a few years ago, you have what they call solid end links. So these two links by the case are now solid. As you can see, this is a brand new example of this watch, complete with the hang tags, box and papers. You get the new style box and papers. Rolex has dispensed with the old marble box. And interestingly, you'll also see all these most recent models from Rolex. They now carry the new style guarantee, which traditionally was a punched paper article. These now come on a plastic card. You can have a look. This authenticates the watch. You can also see, looking at this watch, it carries the classic Rolex Cyclops lens. And the Cyclops lens on these Rolex sports models, and indeed across the Rolex range, magnifies the date by 2.5 times. This is an additional way of verifying a Rolex's authenticity. You'll see a lot of the counterfeits, particularly the cheaper counterfeits, the font on the date, you can see on that 4 Rolex use a very distinctive font, is often wrong, and you often find on a lot of the counterfeit watches that the date is not magnified to that extent. It looks too small. You can see here the classic Rolex flip-lock clasp, which is a very, very secure attachment for this watch. The Submariner obviously uses a very secure clasp. You can see how thick that is. We've got to remember this is a professional watch designed for diving. We have actually sold a lot of these watches to military divers. You can also see all brand new and worn Rolex watches. They have a number of case seals on them. You can see the red tab there. That's the clasp seal. If you also have a look on the side of the case, you should be able to see there's a plastic seal here with some printing on it. And on the other side of the watch case, you also have 2 wear seals. You can also have 2 wear seals on each side. Any company selling a watch is brand new, when it doesn't come with these seals, one must be very careful. You can also see on the reverse of this watch, Rolex no longer use the green hologram, which they used to use. You actually have another plastic case seal. Oftentimes these case seals will have the model number on the back of them. This particular one doesn't. But most of them have the model reference number, which in this case would be 16610. If you have a look at the crown of the watch, this is the Rolex Trip Lock crown. It actually has 3 levels of security to maintain its waterproofness. So not only have you got the oyster case, which is made from one single piece of stainless steel, you also have 3 separate rubber seals on the crown to ensure the watch is fully waterproof. Obviously, when wearing these watches, it's always essential that the crown is always left at the fully closed position, especially when around water. If you also look closely at this watch, you can see the classic sweeping second hand, which is particularly smooth on Rolex watches, particularly a watch with a movement of this caliber. Rolex now use a special substance that used to be tritium, which was actually mildly radioactive to make the dial glow in the dark. Rolex now use superluminova, which has a much longer life. Tritium tends to degrade and actually turn colour and lose its luminescence. Superluminova happily isn't radioactive and gives a better quality of luminescence. If we have a look at the hands on this watch, it's currently stopped. As you can see, the crown has been pulled out. You can also see the classic Rolex hour hand. The hour hand you'll see is typically known as a Mercedes hand. It has like a Mercedes symbol on it. The Rolex Submariner, you'll also see it has another useful feature on it in that the bead at the top of the bezel. The bezel is actually traditionally used for keeping a check on amount of oxygen left in a diver's oxygen tank. That is also a superluminova bead, so ensures that the watch is fully luminous. I think that's a fairly comprehensive view of the watch. Obviously, if you've got any further questions, I'm contactable at www.iconicwatches.co.uk, and I'll hope you'll have a look at our site and have a look at a lot of our other offerings. We do pre-owned watches as well. We always try and keep some pre-owned steel submariners in stock. Thank you. Cool.